spots. Holdsworth again goes from pole position and keeps the lead down to turn 1. What happens here?
Lowndes lost a heap of spots.
So did Courtney. Bad start for Courtney.
Well, Courtney was tentative.
He's with his teammate Stephen Johnson. Good start, Lee Holdsworth.
Courtney's now got cover in the form of Stephen Johnson. So Holdsworth goes through. Jason Bargwanna gets past Bright and claims another spot. Good start from Bargs.
Courtney's down, way down the order by comparison to where he started, and Lowndes got swamped. And it's such a wild run to turn 1. It starts out narrow and then it fans out wide. It gives drivers lots of options. This is the wild stuff that goes on at turns 6 and 7. Cold tyres, full fuel.
So James Courtney started 12th. He's currently 15th.
Good opening account here from Lee Holdsworth. He's got a couple of car lengths buffer, but Winterbottom is right on the back of Whincup.
I don't reckon there's any question that Winterbottom's one to watch in this race. He's been fast throughout all of the sessions. He's had bad luck all around him, even in the qualifying sessions. Whoa, wild ride onto the front straight.
It's a good solid start for Will Davison as well. Remember, there was damage to that car at the end of qualifying. He's just in front of his teammate there. They are the two Toll HRT cars.
So right now, Jamie Whincup is thinking consolidate. Make sure I'm there inside the top 4, because if something goes awry for James Courtney, Whincup has to be in the top 4 to win the championship. This stage yesterday, Whincup was diving all over the place to get the race lead. Courtney missed the start. Missed it really badly. In fact, he missed it twice. Oh, that could have been dangerous too.
It just chug-a-lugs here. He's hit the clutch again and again. That's the 3rd hit of the clutch before he actually got it mobile.
So in comparison, Bargwanna went from alongside him to 6th position. Meanwhile, Courtney dumped spots everywhere.
And he was lucky to get away without any damage from behind him, because Stephen Richards, in the FPR car, had to dive left. All of a sudden, I mean, Stephen Richards wouldn't have been seeing that coming from the championship leader. Maybe nerves, who knows?
We're on board now with Mark Winterbottom. This is right up behind Whincup. You can see how tight these streets are behind the 2 HRT cars.
This is a good performance here from Bargwanna in the Rock Racing Commodore there. So he's got a bit of fresh air now to do his work behind Tander. You can see it's about 3 or 4 car lengths. He's got Bright behind him though. A 30.7, 130.7 for Holdsworth, and a margin of 0.6 of a second as Whincup searches for a gulp of cool air.
Down to turn 1. The left-hander, Kevin Coombs Avenue. You're on the other side of the road that you'd normally be driving on if you came out here to Sydney Olympic Park. Up they go. This is turns 2, 3, and 4.
Oh, that was a big moment for Whincup on the exit of 3. Then it lurched into a big oversteer as it went off the top of the curb. And he's a little more vulnerable now to Winterbottom. Not much that Mark's going to be able to do in this area around 5, 6, 7. But watch him down at 9.
ANZ Stadium on their left-hand side, and that was illustrated by the distance between car 33 and 1. Just a little blip by Jamie Whincup allowed Holdsworth to pull away just a fraction more.
Good sector split. Jason Bright, the fastest to the first timing intermediate at turn 4, a correction of 35.1. So a little easing of the gap now out to about a second between Holdsworth and Whincup. Here's Bright using that speed, so he now grabs Bargwanna, and Todd Kelly tries to buy in. Lowndes copying it from Caruso. Here we go, game on again. Tim Slade under attack from Rick Kelly, and Rick's going to get track position on him here.
Tim Slade went to cover him but thought twice about it.
In those circumstances, you've got to fan the throttle and drop back into the dry groove where the grip is. You can't be out where the rubble and the dirt and the marbles are, you just end up in the wall.
So from 15th up to 11th for Rick Kelly. Bargwanna's been the big mover. 13th up to 7th. Oh, wobbly, wobbly, wobbly for Shane Van Gisbergen down at 1, and Tim Slade's under attack. Never heard wobbly, wobbly, wobbly before.
He's just got hit. He just got bumped.
He got
pushed him through.
And that's all three cars from the Stone Brothers outfit together. Shane Van Gisbergen, Tim Slade, Alex Davison. 34.9 for Whincup in the first sector split, turn 5. So Winterbottom now, as the car normalises and temperatures and pressures come up, he looks pretty quick on those numbers.
The gap's 0.7 of a second, and now Jamie Whincup has posted the fastest time to the second sector. So he's clawed back a little bit of that advantage lost to Holdsworth.
Whincup that time, just a lot of evidence of understeer with the car through the 90-degree right-hander. Here we go, Tim Slade, Shane Van Gisbergen, and that little touch down at turn 2. So Shane straight ahead, and then straight ahead on the other side of it as well. So makes it much easier if you don't have to do those nasty turns.
Those corners. It's an easy game without those corners.
Yeah, but you still put tyre bundles in there, so they've got to dodge around those. So 129.85 is the fastest time
quick.
now.
That's quick, you know, at this juncture in the race with the fuel load that they've got on and the tyres at this point in the race. That's pretty speedy.
Now let's have a look at it. Holdsworth, Whincup, then Winterbottom. Davison, Tander, Bright, Bargwana, Todd Kelly, Craig Lowndes, Michael Caruso make up the top 10. James Courtney, 15th.
Whincup's going on with it here now. He's responded. So he's actually broken clear of Winterbottom on this lap and has lassoed Holdsworth. So his time to the first timing intermediate was brilliant. Oh, looks like he's going to further improve on it to the second intermediate. So if anything now, Winterbottom's a little bit vulnerable to both the HRT cars.
He made a little mistake on that lap coming out of 6 and 7, so he dumped some time compared to Whincup. So Mark Winterbottom falls backwards to the red cars, and as you can see now, Whincup making ground, fastest second sector. He did the fastest lap last lap. He'll probably eclipse that this time, catching Lee Holdsworth.
Here's an interesting thing. You look at the lap speed of the first half dozen cars, they're all essentially doing the same numbers as we have a look inside the Ford Performance Racing and the Team Vodafone garages. Jason Bright, who's currently 6th, is 4.6 seconds off the lead of the race. We've completed 5 laps, so that's just a little less than a second a lap away from the leader. But it's not because of a lack of pace, it's track position at the start. It emphasises the importance of qualifying. When you give good guys a head start, no surprise that you don't get it back. That's what you were talking about before. So actually he dropped the ball a fair bit there, didn't he, through turn 3-4.
And how was their last laps? A 29.81 versus a 29.82. Holdsworth versus Whincup.
That's one of the things that has defined Jamie Whincup's championship run over the last 2 years, the ability to throw down fastest laps, whether he's at the front of the field, midfield, doesn't matter what. He will put pressure on him. And this time, Lee Holdsworth has responded beautifully. The other interesting thing is we've done 5 completed laps and I haven't seen a mirror gone yet. That's a miracle. Back after this.
Reset fuel. You're going to be by yourself here, mate, so just going to move on.
here in the streets of Sydney Olympic Park as Lee Holdsworth continues to lead the race and continues to put a little bit of distance between him and Jamie Whincup in second. Winterbottom is third. Will Davison in fourth. Then it's Tander, Bright, Bargwanna, Todd Kelly, Lowndes and Caruso. And remember, this is a championship deciding race. So we'll keep you updated on James Courtney's position. He is in 15th, needs to stay 22nd or better by the end of the day to claim the title.
The guy that's done a good job is Jason Bright. He got a really bad start. He obviously qualified well, got a bad start, and he's made a lot of ground on the two HRT cars. Ranged right up behind Tander.
I think these guys have got a radio problem. I just heard Lowndes, but I don't think that it's a two-way conversation. In fact, he was just on the radio again then. But they've reverted to the old pit board method.
Yeah, well, we've got the pit board out there looking at those radio issues at the moment, Neil. And what they're going to do here is get Craig out early. I think what's going to happen, where he can help Jamie today, is get out of his way in the pit stops. Because you know what it's like, they do not want a double stack or end up in that situation. So Craig will get done and out of the way.
Jason Bargwanna's getting monstered here at the moment, so he's dropped a couple of spots to Lowndes, to Caruso, and now to Rick Kelly on the outside at turn 9. Van Gisbergen's next in the queue and got him in the crosshairs. So
he's going to go down to 11th, if not more, and he was up to 7th.
He may have a problem.
There's Courtney. He's involved in all this drama here.
He's tucked in between Murphy and Alex Davison at the moment. We're on board. This is turn 12.
James would be quite confident from behind because Murphy will be sensible enough not to hit him. But in front, there's plenty of action. See Craig Lowndes in, Jason Bargwanna in. There'll definitely be something wrong with Bargwanna's car. So there's Murphy behind Courtney, and Alex Davison is the car in front.
There's a little crumple already on the front of that car.
Yeah.
He's had a little bit of contact somewhere along the way.
So just to emphasise that this is just strategic, it's not a problem.
Freeze are done. Nothing in pit lane. Waiting on fuel. Good to go. Hand you over, Jeremy.
Russell Ingall has already processed through pit
Push
lane.
hard while everyone else is down there. Good laps while we've got some fresh air. 66 laps to go.
Yeah, guys, Barks has got a bent steering arm. They're going to put the car in the garage and get it fixed.
So he must have clobbered a tyre or a wall or another car or something in all that to bend that steering arm.
James Courtney has definitely got some scarring on the front of car 18.
It certainly has. It's creased the front of the bonnet. You can just see above the Ford emblem on the right-hand front corner and front of the bonnet apron.
All of that stuff tends to go on in lap 1 when you're back in the pack because there's a massive concertina. The big nose-to-tail action happens at turn 1 and very often continues all through the opening lap. Everybody tries to find their rhythm and pace.
Alex Davison, who we'd also focused on, who's in front of James at the moment, also has some damage. That's how it stands right now. With Whincup up in 2nd position and Courtney down in 13th, the championship has only 41 points between them.
Quite a lot of people calling for changes to their cars when they come in. So I think that on the grid I made mention of the very different conditions out there. So I think now what's going to happen is people will tune their cars to these conditions. Depending on who you are, we're talking about rear roll centres up and down and the incoming tyre pressures for the next set of tyres they're fiddling with and varying as well. A lot of that chat on the radio right now as things settle down and drivers get a chance to properly assess their cars.
Lee Holdsworth has only won one race in his career. It was 3 years ago at Oran Park. Jamie Whincup has won 42, and this has been a rock-solid opening segment from Lee Holdsworth, getting pressure from a bloke who absolutely has to be up there to be any hope of winning the title for the 3rd straight year. The bloke who has clearly set the benchmark over the last 2 years, and Holdsworth has responded to every single challenge that this car behind him has thrown.
Car 39 race director Tim Schenken is keeping an eye on Russell Ingall's car for leaking water and or fuel, so they'll need to watch that. Okay, let's join Mark Winterbottom on the run down the pit straight into turn 1. We'll go quiet, crank up the audio, listen to this, it's a wild ride. past the pit lane exit, and that is a lap. And just updating a couple of things here. New lap record for Craig Lowndes, a 1:29.4, and race directors Tim Schenken just coming back, having a conversation with Frank Adamson at this stage from V8 Supercar. He's saying no issues in terms of the leakage from that car, either water or fuel, but they're going to continue to monitor.
And you mentioned Lowndes' fastest race lap record. Well, he's going on with it. As Gary Rogers looks on, Lowndes is looking like posting back-to-back fastest laps.
Gary Rogers jumped out of the penguin suit, I noticed. Quite a few polyesters died for that suit, I think.
Exactly.
Looked like a few penguins did as well.
On board with Michael Caruso. Just watch how close to the fence these guys are. So many places, so little room and so unforgiving.
Neil, I happen to be standing next to Gary down here, and you're right, he's good he got out of that suit, mate. Don't worry about that. How bad was the aftershave? Oh.
Worries me, Larko, some of your gigs.
Odie cheap. So this is an interesting scenario here between Todd Kelly, Michael Caruso. These guys are locked in combat for 7th and 8th at the moment. And also roll centre going up the back of Lee Holdsworth's car in the next stop. So he's not totally happy with the balance of that car, even though he's doing so well at the moment. So in
goes Rick Kelly.
JD car number 15.
7 and 8, they started 6th and 7th. Both Fujitsu cars inside the top 10. There's Rick Kelly's.
Go. Light throttle.
Pit stop done, in and out.
I think that was all fours for them.
Yep.
And a little tweak on the chassis as well.
You'll be clear on the exit. Watch the merge line.
What some of them are trying to achieve here at the moment is just clear air.
That's right. Holdsworth's been good, hasn't he? His laps are very consistent. The car looks good, although he's not saying the balance is as sharp as he'd like it. It still looks like it's very consistent in terms of rear tyre quality. Looking after the tyre is very important.
And Scaife, you just remember, we didn't see Holdsworth yesterday. He may have come out much better. They actually had a fuel drama. Had to fuel him twice yesterday, so he would have ended up a lot better than he did. Now, one thing I want to ask you, mate, I reckon this is tough for James Courtney. Hover around in 12th, around guys that he doesn't want to be around. And as we know, he likes to drive the car always at 110%. I mean, to me, that's his greatest asset. So to drive it at 98%, which I reckon that's what he's doing, I mean, that's when you can make it blue.
Yeah, no doubt, Larko, that's absolutely right, especially when you're in the pack like that. And you know what it's like when you're following someone on a street circuit and the guy in front makes a mistake. Lots of times you end up caught up in the mistake. So right behind the car, everything gets hot, the brakes are hot, the engine temperature, water temperature is hot. You start to lose some brake feel and you're working hard. So as I said, it's not a position that he'd love to be in. He's certainly better off to be out where he could be. This is Craig Lowndes through the chicane at turn 2, 3.
Yeah, and he's grabbed the tyres there as well. It was pretty heavy contact in the right front. That was not long after he'd done that lap record. So great pace, but a little mistake, self-induced down there at turn 2, 3.
Lee Holdsworth, though, has not made a single mistake from the start of this race. He continues to hold off Jamie Whincup as he goes in search of his first race win in 3 years. High above Sydney Olympic Park from the Coates Hire chopper. Zeroing in on our championship leader. He's tucked in 12th spot. That's exactly where he started. He slipped back a few positions. A couple of others have pit stopped already. And so James Courtney continues to snake his way around 74 laps. That's where he's aiming for.
Yeah.
And he just wants to stay in there. It was an interesting point that you guys were talking about before the break about how all of a sudden you adjust to driving to 98%, especially when you're given that you've been driving at 110% to get to the championship lead. I just don't know if there's any such thing as trying to back it off in this game.
Yeah, Matty, it's a good point. Adrian Burgess is with me from Jim Beam Racing. Adrian, what were the instructions to James? Was there an instruction to just sort of to hang back and pace yourself?
We just want to stay out of trouble. We've got our fuel strategy we want to stick on. We could bring him out now and put him on a 3-stopper, but we don't want to do that. We want the field to spread out a little bit so we're not hard up the back of another car. We're just keeping it straight and sensible. We don't need any risk today. We want the points.
Everything going to plan so far?
Yeah, no, it's all good, yeah.
All the best, mate. Thank you.
Mate. Thanks.
I don't know whether he was totally honest with you there, Brett. I would say that where he's parked in the field and damage on the front of it, it's not the happiest camp of all time. However, he has pulled off the back of Davison, which is a smart thing to do. Just give yourself a bit of clean air. You don't need to be right up in behind him. This is not the part of the race that you need to do anything weird and risky. And this is, again, a real strategy race as these pit stops unfold as the afternoon continues.
And Paul Dumbrell's reporting a long brake pedal in the low entry car 55, which means the fronts are not particularly doing the job and the rears are locking up. He's talking about rear locking and lots of travel in that middle pedal. So that's something they need to look at there.
This is not a spot where a long brake pedal would be nice.
Well, this should give us a great view. So that's James Courtney, smack bang in 12th position, coming down to turn 1. Our chopper will swing all the way up around to find our race leader. We have to go up to turns 5, 6 and 7. The other side of the circuit to find Lee Holdsworth in charge.
As a response to the brake issue for Paul Dumbrell, they've asked him to go to brake cool setting 3 because they're squirting water, mist into the brake ducts in that car, so obviously they can regulate the amount of it. And that's activated every time Paul puts his foot on the brake pedal.
That was a great demonstration of how far on the track James Courtney is actually away. He's 22.5 seconds away from these guys, Holdsworth and Whincup. Basically around this track, that was a large bit of territory.
Well, looking at the leader here, he's about to come on to the pit straight, and James is just coming out of that troublesome turn 8. A lot of curb there for Lee.
He's not messing around. It also gave us a good illustration of the size of this precinct. And a lot of the guys, we've already seen Team Vodafone having to go back to the old pit board form of communication. A lot of the guys have been saying that when their cars go around through 5, 6 and 7, they're just losing contact back to base. So that's the difference. The green dot, Jamie Whincup. The blue dot, James Courtney. Now, it looks like a long, long way away, but for James Courtney, it doesn't really matter to him where Jamie Whincup is at the moment. It matters for James where James is, and he needs to be 22nd or better.
And one of the points that Adrian Burgess made, which is a good one, is that that's where they are at the moment, and that's it. You can't magically erode that 22 seconds, but you can get a safety car. So to burn everything on your car right now in terms of brakes, tyres and everything else is bad risk management. So let's just see what happens, whether the race will come. Now, Garth Tander, meantime, 5th at the moment, the Toll HRT car, is reporting the car trending way too much towards an oversteer with the rear of the car sliding too much. They're going to correct that in their stock. He's behind Will here, Will Davison, his teammate. And there's Jason Bright. Look at that for a margin. Back to Todd Kelly. Todd's got his hands full because there's a heap of guys on the attack behind here, all ducking and diving. Look at them all searching for a bit of cool air. Stevie Johnson.
And now Courtney has clawed his way up, so he's now a lot closer to the rear of car number 4, which will, I reckon if we checked in with Adrian Burgess again and put a heart rate monitor on him, it'll be beeping at us.
Drivers are also being warned to stay off the curbing at turn 2, which is down there in the complex chicane, because they think that there's some bolts protruding because the tyres have dislodged. And drivers being warned right now. Jamie Whincup's just been warned as I speak. See how the tyre bundle, the triangular shape there, has been moved back further back than would be normal at the curb. So the anchor points there may just be protruding. Scafey, you've had a bit to do with this.
So the anchor points are down below. You can see where the rope is down into the bottom of that tyre bundle, and around the front of the tyre bundle is conveyor belt, and through the conveyor belt they bolt that to keep the tyre mass inside that conveyor belt. Now it's turned around. This is a different one actually now. This is down at turn 6 and 7. And that's where the guys are right now. That's Michael Caruso in behind Todd Kelly. So that was the bundle that we just saw. The piece that Neil was talking about where the bolt is out of the conveyor belt is at turn 2 and turn 3.
Michael's flashing the lights here.
Yeah,
that's where all the thumb action is.
With the engine temp and brake temps at the moment, we're looking good.
He's pretty keen, isn't he?
He's a bit keen. He's got the lights going on and he's got the thumb flat out. Looks like he's in the middle of a little text message there. But I'm tipping that right at this point in time, Todd couldn't care less. You could wave your lights all day long, brother.
Yeah, that's pretty right.
Could turn into a tap message. Might have to give him a bit of Morse code.
The funny thing is, I reckon sometimes the whole, if it's at lap traffic, I reckon there's a point to it. But when you're in a battle and someone flashes the lights, you know, you were like Scafey, but just made me more determined to get my elbows up even further, so he had to go the long way.
Especially someone like Todd, who's a rock-hard racer. An experienced racer as well. Hands all over the shop.
Looked a bit frantic, didn't it?
It's got the anti-roll bar adjustment going. He's also got Shane Van Gisbergen all over him at the moment as well. So that's a pretty vigorous battle. Todd's done enough of this racing over a long enough period of time that he's going to be pretty resolute in his focus at the moment. Especially if he's got any compromise in the balance of the car. It means you've got to really concentrate on keeping it straight.
Now, Alex Davison is out of this battle because he's come in, but Courtney's jumped a spot to 11th, but he's right behind this group. So this little angry group of Kelly, Caruso, Van Gisbergen, Slade, right behind that, just in the back of the shot, is James Courtney, your series leader.
And eventually, if he ends up with compromised lap speed, then they may end up at Jim Beam Racing having a think about whether you fiddle with strategy. You need to look at their flexibility. But if they're in the points percentage game, they may not care too much at the moment. But you don't want to spend too long in there because there's always potential for trauma.
They look like they've got a rear brake issue. The brake bleeder. You see them there just checking the brake bleed nipples on the rear caliper. Parked in the garage without attention, and back on board again with Michael Caruso. How close is that fence on the right? There's just no room there at all.
We've seen this movie before, haven't we? Holdsworth leading the race. Michael Caruso a little bit further down, doing his best to get around Todd Kelly. Todd saying, not now, youngster. You're going to have to wait.
Strategy's looking very good at this stage. Have a drink.
Still more than 50 laps to go in the last race of the season to determine our champion. Lee Holdsworth is your race leader from Jamie Whincup. Winterbottom, Davison, Garth Tander, Jason Bright, Todd Kelly and Michael Caruso is a battle that we'll go back to because we've got that feeling that something might happen there. That's the gap out at the front. It's 1.4 seconds that Holdsworth has, where he started from pole position, and then 7 seconds from the leader back to this man, Mark Winterbottom.
Who's reporting a problem at the moment on the radio about half a lap ago, talking about a throttle issue.
Just have a listen for this engine note here, because if you can hear them run on, which is this is the worst thing other than a bad brake pedal, you do not want residual throttle pedal or throttle action which keeps the car driving on in all the slow corners. Just listen close.
Extreme slow-mo replay on the...
This is down at turn 1 and inside front, waving to the crowd down there till it gets to the curb. Then it's got a massive load and impact through it, just crushes the tyre wall. Let's have a listen here. You just made the point. Let's listen to the mid-corner and on the other side.
No, it come right back off.
And Whincup we're expecting to see this lap.
So what we're making reference to there is that when you get to the slow corners and say it just holds 5 or 6 or 10% of throttle on the car, it'll actually keep pushing the car past the corner. And there's nothing worse as a race driver in all these little 90-degree corners with fences everywhere if you can't take all of the throttle away from the car. No, it's right back off. So it may have actually stuck. Sometimes they can actually just get caught, a butterfly in the inlet manifold, and they can just basically hold some throttle sometimes and then afterwards release itself. So it may have been a little glitch that's rectified itself.
Murphy will be in this lap as well. Greg at the moment is 12th.
So if Whincup comes in on this lap, what do you do if you're Jim Beam Racing? Still do your own thing?
Here we go, bit of action here.
Thompson and Craig Lowndes.
3 abreast. Good move.
I think the only victim was a mirror.
Which is done very well. They have 3 cars there. So here's Jamie Whincup in for a very important stop.
And they were laying up in at FPR as well.
Okay, you hold your foot on the clutch for me. We're in the box here.
So they're not plucking it out of neutral. Oh, that was having a look around.
For me.
Just look at that. Right on the marks. Well done. Very nice, calm stop.
Rears are done. Rears are done.
Rear tyres only.
You'll be good to go once we drop you. First gear for me.
Courtney has followed them.
Mirror, Joey. Get someone do the mirror when they're finished.
They're doing 4. So Team Vodafone doing 2 tyres. These guys doing 4. Because fuel's the limiting thing, or is it?
And a fumbly.
No. This hurts. This is going to be costly.
This is drama. This is the series leader with a right-hand rear tyre that wouldn't go on and had a cross thread. I think they put the same tyre back on it again.
They put the old one back on it, now they can't get it.
The hub's cross-threaded there, but it's damaged the hub. Here we go right now.
Okay. All clear, mate. All clear. You got the same right rear on, so just be careful. You got the same right rear and 3 other cold ones.
The first
I'll let you know
glitch.
for traffic.
These things are very telling.
That's going to really burn him.
Last thing we needed.
Yeah, it's all right. Heaps of time to go. There's lots of cars. 2 cars after Bright is a big gap.
So you're going to do another 24 or 25 laps with the same right rear tyre on, which is the tyre that gets the most amount of work. So his speed, in terms of lap time, it won't be anywhere near good enough to fight in this segment of the race.
Go, mate, go, clear.
And he's dumped a heap of track position. So he's effectively now at the bottom of the queue. And that is going to make for an ugly afternoon.
Feel low, mate.
Costly stuff. Paul Dumbrellian.
Not now. Okay.
The biggest question will be how much does that hurt James Courtney further down the track? And remember,
and just waiting on fuel.
Remember that Jamie
Okay, you're ready to go. You're going
is
to
in a
behind
really good position.
Good. Okay,
It'd
mate.
be a different story if Whincup wasn't up at the front.
Seriously, other than a couple of those that have got massively damaged cars, that puts him effectively at the bottom of the queue.
Absolutely. And I don't know who the scriptwriter is, but you do not want to just be wobbling around at the back of the field here with this.
So Lee Holdsworth, the race leader, comes in. That means that Gar Tander is out on the road
60-45.
in control of the race.
You can come through the Bundy garage. Just turn in now. Turn in.
Those little dramas just come at the most unexpected time.
Need to do that.
He ended up hitting that wheel. He hit that wheel, and the Bundy team Little mistakes.
Pit lane. You'll be right
He was having trouble there. So Tander's come in, Bright's come in, Caruso's come in. They're going to be busy here at Fujitsu.
Go.
Because car 34 will arrive on the scene any second in pit lane. And in terms of the championship, the advantage has gone back to this man, Jamie Whincup.
There's a heap of guys in there now. Tander, Bright, Caruso, Kelly, Van Gisbergen, Slade, D'Alberto. So it's going to be a pretty easy race to read relatively.
So Whincup rejoins the race behind Lee Holdsworth. More accurately, Lee's rejoined the race ahead of Jamie Whincup. Whoa, this is going to be trouble.
So he rejoins right behind Todd Kelly again.
I reckon he could have got him. There was a big enough gap to be in front of Todd then, but I think they were stressed. It was better not to have the potential for the accident.
So Stephen Richards will be the only one yet to pit.
Guys, Adrian Burgess just conducting a big post-mortem down here at Jim Beam Racing. 3 things they need to know. Firstly, was that the same tyre that was on when James Courtney came in? And yes, it was. The condition of that tyre they wanted to check, and whether that nut will come off the next time he comes in. They've got a lot on their plate now.
Yeah, that's another question too, Barretts, isn't it? What happens the next time around?
Look at this.
In terms of the
17
championship.
points.
Now, it hasn't been cleansed yet because Stephen Richards has still got a pit. So Jamie Whincup will go further up the list. In fact, Stephen Richards is coming into pit lane now. So we'll check in just a few seconds because that'll change again with 17 points. Nothing in it.
Watch this, and Lee clobbers the wheel at Bundy Red Racing here. Bang, gets the right front. Car controller at the front of Fujitsu, not happy with that.
Happy, yeah.
And when you have good cooperation with the teams to allow you to drive through their pit, then that's why the car controller at GRM at Fujitsu was not happy, because there's little agreements there between the teams and servicing the cars properly.
So 24th position. We've been saying he has to finish 22nd or better to make sure he wins the title. The biggest question mark down there at Dick Johnson Racing is what happens next time James Courtney comes in.
Well, he's hamstrung in this segment of the race, Matt, because you've got the old rear tyre on the car. So there will not be lap speed in this part of the race. Well, then you've got to do a proper stop. It's got to come off the car to get a fresh one on.
Assuming you can get it off.
That's right.
What Adrian will be talking to the guy that was down there looking at the hub and looking at the threads and looking at the wheel nut was, what was the issue? What's your interpretation of the problem? Because it might have been a low pressure in the bottle, for example, or it might be a problem with the hub. The anti-seize on the thread of the hub may not have been dressed properly before the start of the race. There's a million things it could be. But they may face the prospect, and it's happened in years gone by, where you can't get a wheel off a car. You just got to tough it out.
And now just taking a look at that a little closer. There is a wheel nut, V8 Supercar wheel nut, standard issue. So you can see it's an aluminium thread. Now the hub that screws to on the race car is steel. Okay, so what may have happened, I think, is sometimes the aluminium nut generally won't damage the steel hub, but what it can do is burr up and get all gnarly and leave aluminium traces on the hub. So you're dead right. It's going to be next time round is going to be the issue. It won't be a quick stop.
Yeah, thanks, Larko. That's a good explanation of the wheel nut being captive in the wheel. So when that's gone on, it's been cross-threaded. They obviously couldn't get that wheel on properly, and then they had to put the old wheel back on with the old tyre.
Yeah, safety car.
We've got tyres on the racetrack.
We need to resolve. We'll be replacing all the apex tyres into their correct positions. Safety car standby.
Now this is a little let off for Courtney.
Yes.
Because this just gets him in time interval terms much closer to the leader of the race. And that's the reason why.
Right now, he's going to need every little let-off that he can get, because you know what gap he's got in the championship as it stands? 8 points.
8 points, you're kidding.
Yeah, so that means that if Whincup climbs over Holdsworth, for example, which is the real question here, and that's how close that is to a reality.
And there's 12 points in that.
And there's 12 points. You've taken the words right out of my mouth, friend.
Thank you.
Guys, just got a quick chat with the wheelman who's working on that right rear for James Courtney. I said, how is that wheel nut? He just shook his head. It's no good, guys. They're going to have a big problem when this car comes back in.
Oh, that's big drama. That'll be playing on their mind.
It's like we're married. I start the sentences and he finishes them. So Lee Holdsworth is the leader from Jamie Whincup. This is an extraordinary conclusion to the series.
For me. Pit lane's still good, mate. Just waiting on the fuel now. You'll be good to go once we drop you. Good to go. Until you catch the line. Waiting on fuel. Go, mate. Go, 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 go.
We are back for a critical moment in the championship. The right rear tyre, no troubles. So they got it back on. They got the other one off. They got the new one back on.
And effectively for free, because while the safety car's out, he comes back on now, gasses back up, gets on the back of the train, and the time between James at the rear of the field and the leader is only a handful of seconds, is the theory.
And that's the absolute best thing to do, because you can now press on for 25 laps. And that's the right way to correct the mistake. They've done a good job there. This is Lowndes, and this is another strategy for Vodafone, where they're trying to separate their cars so this doesn't affect Whincup through the rest of the afternoon. So Courtney will be right at the back of the field, but as Neil said, the field has condensed based on the safety car.
Driven by Amber Anderson, the Pettis safety car. So Lee Holdsworth, Jamie Whincup, Mark Winterbottom, Will Davison, Jason Bright. That's your top 5. James Courtney is in position 25.
Accurate on the battery gate. Good job, mate. Freeze are done. Okay, code, fronts are done. Wait on fuel, go, mate, go, go. Light throttle.
Just an update, we have got all the tyres back in position.
So still under safety car. And our coat tire chopper zeroes in on a friend in the skies. Make sure you check out 7Mate, our digital channel.
Quick story, Matt, before the restart, because the lights are out on the safety car.
Strategies?
Strategy. Update. Jamie Whincup last stopped on lap 22. Normal fuel burn is about a 24-lap window. That gets him to lap 46. He's in fuel conservation mode at the moment. He might get another lap or two on that window, maybe to lap 47, 48. James Courtney, double benefit in that stop we saw a moment ago. He stopped on lap 27, fixed the right rear tyre problem, fuels it up, gets him to lap 51. That's the perfect spot for one stop to the end of the race. On current form, without another safety car intervention, Whincup stops twice, Courtney stops once.
Did you see Lee Holdsworth on that restart? How on earth he missed the fence? He'll never know, but he takes him down to turn 1.
He was right out sideways, and how he didn't get the end of that fence, you'd never know.
How Tim Slade and Shane Van Gisbergen are managing to avoid an accident with each other at the moment is a miracle too, because they keep swerving at each other on the way into turn 1.
It's still not over.
There's a lot of how, whys, wheres and whens. Here
Have a look at this. Look, look, look. Oh!
Okay.
And Van Gisbergen went straight ahead through the turn 2 chicane in that battle he was having with Tim.
And he's had to yield in behind Slade because of that, so that's where he is.
Still 45 laps to go, still more strategy to play out, but we're keeping an eye on this championship race, and that's what it is. Jamie Whincup's in second. James Courtney is in 22nd. If Whincup finishes second, Courtney has to make sure that he's better than 26th. So it's looking good for James Courtney now, although 14 points, there's nothing in it.
I was racing to conclude the remark before the restart. The other part of that, and I'll be banking on it at Vodafone, is that history would tell us that there's a half a chance that you'll see another safety car, and that's the get out of jail card that may well end up being played. But currently, just to reiterate, Courtney will get to lap 51. That was the magic number that everyone was trying to make yesterday in the rain, because they'll always remember the number 51 at Sydney, not just for Greg Murphy. So that was the magic number. That gets you the fuel in the tank to get you to the checkered flag at the end of the race. But Jamie Whincup, he's going to get as far as about lap 47 on the current strategy.
And in those stops, Jason Bright is now wedged between the two HRT cars. So he's jumped Garth Tander, and Tander was putting pressure on him at the end of the main straight down past the Novotel on the previous lap. So he's jumped into 5th position after the stops. So Holdsworth, Whincup, Winterbottom, Davison, Bright, that's your top 5. Then Tander, Slade, Van Gisbergen, Stephen Richards, good job. Todd Kelly make up the 10.
Now, one to watch also here is Craig Lowndes on. Here's Jason Bright, locks up the front left, has a look at Will Davison. Luckily, he recovered that, drops back in behind, but he was on the dirty side of the road, and being that shallow would have made the next turn so tight the left-hander at turn 9 for him would have been had to tippy-toe around the corner, wouldn't have had enough lock to do it.
And what about how much difference a lap makes? The previous lap, Tander was having a dive at that same spot on Bright. Bright now is putting pressure on Davison. This is down Australia Avenue, 255 kilometres an hour at the end. They work their way out of turn 1 up to turn 2. This is where the chicane's been altered to make it faster. It's now 2nd gear. There was 1st gear in the middle of this at turn 3 on the right-hand side. There the cars are crossing that curb. That's been moved 2 metres. So then as you come out of that corner at turn 4, the wall's been reprofiled, and this is turn 5.
Got some...
Well, they all crashed yesterday.
Some data out of the cars, and just looking at the speed trace difference made an enormous difference to the speed they're carrying across those corners, and obviously the lap time. As soon as we arrived on Friday, Jason Bright was a second and a half faster than the corresponding time at the end of Friday last year.
So this is the end of Dawn Fraser Avenue, right out in front of the Novotel, past ANZ Stadium on your left. This is turn 9, turn 10. This is where we saw Jamie Whincup bump the fence in qualifying and almost fired into the outside fence. Down past the train station into turn 11 now, 12, and to the final corner to come back onto Australia Avenue. Circuit breaking up there. You can see little pockets of tar on the way out of Telstra corner.
6:17 laps on these sides, so good work there, mate.
So that was Phil Key talking to Jason Bright.
But that was a little bit of code as well. Don't mark the front tyre too much is really what Phil's saying there, because he's got to get a fair stint out of them yet. So they would have held their breath when they saw it locked up on the run into turn 9.
They were pretty close to claiming a race victory yesterday. Jason Bright was right in the picture at the end as Alex Davison
Cold tyres, full fuel.
heads back out. We go down the field to find James Courtney now in 21st position.
Looks pretty relaxed.
There's not much you can do really, is there? All you can do is just get the most out of yourself and your car. When you get in trouble is when you try to perform a Superman act and do something that it won't do.
Right in behind Jim Fiore. And again, I keep saying it around street circuits, when you're following the other car so closely, you can't see where the road is. So you basically just got to go with where that car heads. A small mistake by Dean will have catastrophic effects for James Courtney as he tries to position himself now, and does. Gets down the inside at turn 9. Good pass, well done.
This man made his V8 Supercar debut in 2005 with the Holden Racing team alongside Jimmy Richards. He then came in full-time, James, in 2006 as we go on board Jamie Whincup, who's made the last 2 years his own in the V8 Supercars. He's had 10 pole positions and 9 race wins this season. He's only had 1 DNF. It came yesterday.
And Scott Sinclair's on the radio urging James Courtney not to worry, because he knows what Mark Scaife was just talking about a moment ago, that if you're in James' seat, it's going to feel bad. It's a bit of a downer. Oh, where am I? Look who I'm racing. What's going on here? But they just said to him then on our numbers, which confirms what we've been speculating about up here, you've got 1 stop to the end. Everybody you're racing's got 2. And that'll make James a bit taller in the saddle.
One of those bizarre situations where they've been teaming up, haven't they, over the last however many races we've had. The top 3 contenders have always found themselves fighting each other. You saw it yesterday where all 3 hit the wall at the same time, the same lap. And now all of a sudden, there's a whole lot of distance between them.
Caruso having a big attack at Todd Kelly in the background there. Here he is, side by side.
He's got him, and Murphy might grab this too. Murphy's right up in behind. And both guys, Greg does a good job to not fire straight up the inside of Todd Kelly, and Todd gave him some room also.
Todd was saying to his guys just a few moments ago that we've gone the wrong way with the rear roll centre adjustment on that car. So he wants to go the opposite direction for the next stop. So that's the reason why he's on Struggle Street there at the moment.
Board now with Murph. Back to second gear for turn 1. See they're having a trail the brake a long way into the corner. Todd Kelly there. Greg Murphy pulling out of the slipstream to get some cool air behind the Jack Daniels car. There's a new sponsor on the windscreen, Bisley, for the Kelly team this weekend. And this is a big moment here, really close to the fence. Oh, that's a spot that honestly, you don't get a yield out there. So Jamie's made a little mistake on the way out of turn 4. That's where that wall has been reprofiled. Lucky it was changed, would have plucked it right off.
This is on board with Greg Murphy, looking at the foot dance around here. But Greg is a left foot breaker, so braking with the middle pedal there, and the little blip on the downshift just to make the transition to the lower gear, to the higher gear, sorry, the lower gear smoother. So here he is, turn 9. Interesting to look at the brake pedal modulation into turn 9 there, Scapey, because the varying surface and the different loads in the car, you've really got to ride the brake pedal to get just the right level of brake application on. Too much is a lock brake and a blue smoke off the tyre, and not enough is slow.
Exactly. And the surface changes not only is it the roller coaster, so you go down through the dip and up over a rise, but in the dip it's new surface, very high grip, and over the rise it's back to the oldest surface. So more than 10 years old, that surface on the way into turn 9. So there's all these different things about this racetrack that make it so difficult for the race driver.
Yeah, Neil, just to add to that, I managed to grab a little bit of data out of one of the cars from down there into turn 9, and it's a really difficult one, mate. They've got to sort of get up to 1,000 pound of line pressure there, then back out to sort of 400 or 500 as the car gets light over the hump, back up to 900 as it gets down into the hump. I've never seen a brake trace so up and down. It's the only way you can do it. You saw Jason Bright just a minute ago battling with exactly that.
Yeah, so it's all about trying to get the right feel through the seat of your pants, through the palms of your hands, feedback back through the pedal.
And you'll see it now. So the piece of road that we've been talking about and the graph that Mark Larkin was referring to is this section right now. When you first brake, you brake hard now. And then you'll see the pedal come back, see it come back, comes back, stays on, trails all the way into the corner. So that modulation has to be done to stop the wheels from locking and to efficiently stop the car.
Greg Murphy on the podium at Tasmania, at Simmons Plains. Here's Will Davison and Jason Bright continuing this battle.
Oh, Bright wheel locked. Wheel locked, he's gone down the escape road. That's a fast spin. He turned that around really quickly then. I thought he was going to go into the fence forwards.
Well, he might still end up there. For a second, I just thought he was looking for some clean air down there on the approach to turn 1, but it was so deep that he wanted to have a go and then locked it up.
And he was on the dirty side of the road, and I think, again, the white line played a role in that. So he had big brake pressure on the white line. There's not as much available grip. Now, the question will be, has that marked the tyre? And if so, there'll be feedback through Jason's hands. Here it is again in replay. Yeah, it started on the line and then compounded by being on the really dirty side of the road. And then Scapey held his breath because he's tried to flick spin it at 85 kilometres an hour. Yeah.
Hey, Neil will try and grab Bridie's front left tyre when he comes and does a pit, because you can guarantee that'll have a big flat on it. Exactly that point at turn 9 we talked about earlier. 2 big stops, 2 big lockups, and there's the third one. Once you get that flat, and we talk about that brake modulation, very, very hard to do when the 50-cent piece is on a flat edge.
Yeah, Cromwell got that right. Almost went straight off, didn't it?
Yeah, and very lucky not to end up making contact with Will Davison there. That's a Ken Block moment. It's all the spinning and smoke and rotating, and here it is again from the other side. As he crossed the concrete pad, he releases it. In the end, Jason just goes, oh, what the hell, I'll put right lock on it and go the other way.
They won't be happy. That's Brad Jones there talking to Phil Keed. And this could be safety car period based on those tyres being hit up there at the chicane at the end of Olympic Boulevard. This track's basically split in half, Olympic Boulevard up to here.
Maybe a safety car.
Yes.
And that could change the Win Cup fuel scenario, so we'll watch this one really carefully. All the drivers being warned by their respective crew chiefs and engineers about that.
And Win Cup's taken some ground out of Holdsworth in the last few laps. It's right back now, as you can see, the gap's closed to 0.7 of a second.
If he gets to the lead of the motor race, Jamie Win Cup, boy, that's going to make a few palms sweaty down the other end of the pit lane, because that then makes James Courtney, Jim Beam Racing, extremely vulnerable, regardless of all the scenarios.
And they're talking, Mark Dutton and the team are talking to Jamie about the fuel economy. They're saying very good lap, very good lap. So they're analysing this economy. It's a very difficult thing to go as fast as you possibly can, but look after fuel consumption.
He was 0.2 of a second quicker last time around, so the gap is about a half a second, nothing in it. Let's ride with our 2-time series winner.
Driving, if you get within striking distance, you know you've got a short window to act.
True Barry Sheen medalist as well.
Mark Dutton there saying if you get close, you've got a short window to act.
It was interesting then, Holdsworth through turn 1, noticeable oversteer with the car. Jamie's car looks a lot more stable right at the moment, so just maybe we've reached the phase of the race, tyre life-wise and balance-wise, where for Lee's just maybe got a little balance battle on his hands. Might have just been unique to that corner.
Well, and remember, we heard Richard Holway and Lee talking before the pit stop. They raised the rear roll centre, meaning they stiffen the rear of the car, wanting to get it more accurate at the front. And sometimes that really hurts you because the rear tyre condition gets knocked around when you stiffen the rear of the car.
Jamie picked the throttle up very early at 7 then, so that gave him a big run here at Lee on the run into 8. He had the throttle in hard at 7.
His car looks very well balanced now, wing cups.
Their split times are virtually identical.
Yeah.
There it is sliding again, looking at the back of Lee's car. Also, when you watch Whincup on the downshift through the approach to turn 9, it's quite clever in how he handles the actual downshift approach. He waits as he goes through the bottom of the roller coaster. He does one of the shifts through the bottom of the roller coaster and then does the others out the other side rather than at the peak load at the bottom of it. So kind of phases it. Oops.
I had a bad moment there. I thought that was... There's Courtney. See, that's the stuff you get caught in. Look at this.
So that's his teammate up ahead, but James will arrive on the scene. That's the other DJR stablemate. There's James going through, so he had to think twice before he went through this turn. Goes past Tony D'Alberto.
Close was that, Matt? How close was that to running into your teammate?
Well, so bizarre that all 3 cars out of Dick Johnson Racing were in one shape or another involved in that. So Stephen Johnson and Greg Murphy get totaled up. And quite big impact as well for Murph. And I wonder too if Paul Dumbrell was caught up in that. So Dick Johnson is riding all the emotions this weekend. Yesterday he had Jonathan Webb win out of the DJR stable. Today he's trying to get James Courtney home and claim DJR's first championship in 15 years. James is in 15th position right now. So we'll be back after this break as the Sydney Telstra 500 continues. This game continues to change by the minute. Lee Holdsworth leads the race. Jamie Whincup's in second. The job for James Courtney to win the championship at the end of the day is to remain inside the top 22. He is in 15th right now.
I wonder whether Lee Holdsworth made a little change to the car because his last lap was a 29.5, so we were questioning the balance of the car. Well, the balance is good enough to yield a very good lap time for him at the moment. 1.8 seconds is the gap to Whincup, so he's either made a change to front or rear anti-roll bars or brake balance or a combination of all the above, or maybe changed his lines, but it was a nice lap time. It just gave him a little margin, a little buffer.
Which has gone from, when we saw it last, 0.7 of a second to 1.9 seconds now for Holdsworth. So he's just been able to edge away from Whincup. Now that may be in fuel conservation mode also, that Jamie knows that he's got to look after the fuel economy.
Yet again, he finds himself in another interesting scenario. Courtney now tucked in behind his former teammate Russell Ingall, who won the championship in 2005. So there's all sorts of little battles and little games and little subplots along the way. So that was Paul Dumbrell also involved in that crash with Stephen Johnson and Greg Murphy. I thought that, didn't think that Paul would get away with it unscathed.
So Lee Holdsworth from Jamie Whincup, Mark Winterbottom, Will Davison, Garth Tander, Shane Van Gisbergen, Stephen Richards, Michael Caruso, Tim Slade, Todd Kelly. That's your top 10. This is Murphy going straight through the chicane at turn 2 and 3.
Yeah, so he's been through a tough sequence just in the last 10 minutes. So on lap 42, start getting your thoughts around the fact that driving infringement, car 39, Russell Ingall pit lane penalty. So start to get your head around the fact that we're going to see Jamie Whincup come in for fuel and tyres. the end of this fuel load on our numbers here is going to get him to about lap 46, so that's 4 laps from now. But that won't be good enough for him to get through to the end of the race unless there's more safety car intervention. So Russell drive-through moves James Courtney up another spot. Yep. James Courtney at the moment 15th. That brings him to 14th. Now, I made this mistake at Sandown saying things had been quiet and then all hell broke loose. But only had 3 laps of safety car intervention so far for those tyre bundles. And right now, given the temperatures and the humidity out there at the moment, it's pretty hot, hard work around this track. Yellow flags down there.
Russell Ingall's coming to serve that penalty, so that puts Courtney further up.
That penalty was for the Jonathan Webb incident. We saw the mother car parked, turned around. So the stewards have decided to penalise Russell for that contact. He'll be pretty happy about that, Neil.
Sorry, Scapey. I was looking at Craig Lowndes' numbers and in a discussion about it, and I think you asked me something about the trajectory of the space shuttle to the moon or something. What was that?
I just said Russell will be very happy about that drive-through penalty for turning Jonathan Webb around.
You can go and have a chat to him afterwards, and I'm sure he'll give you a short, sharp answer about it. So yeah, he'll be, anytime you go through the pit lane and those penalties, it can be pretty frustrating. So this guy did a great job yesterday, though, didn't he? It's worth. Car 17 black flag as well, drive-through penalty for Stephen Johnson for his role in the incident with Greg Murphy. So it's a bit busy, and they're issuing plenty of tickets at the moment.
Well, it's the last day.
You're going to talk about Jonathan Webb, because yesterday it was a special moment in his career.
Just lost your way there, didn't you?
About 400 things going on, and there's 2 bozos either side interjecting every 5 seconds. So great moment for him in his career to do so well in his debut season in the main game. And he was already on for a terrific performance to finish either 12th or 13th in this year's championship. And a great rookie season, the reigning Development Series champion.
Asked his manager just a few hours ago, I said, how'd you go last night? Big party? He said, no. Jonathan was exhausted, went straight to bed after all that.
And Stephen Johnson's toured the pit lane. And here we go, safety car. Now, what do they do? What do they do at Vodafone? And as Mark quite accurately predicted, Russell Ingall has been on the radio and has said words to the effect of, golly gosh, I don't totally agree with some of my fine colleagues in race control over that decision, or words to that effect.
Neil, just quickly, the whole pit lane has burst into activity, and there's one team that hasn't, and that's Team Vodafone. No urgency here whatsoever.
All right, so safety car boards deployed, yellow flags out. Peter's safety car will swing into action, so Whincup stays out there. Holdsworth has come straight into pit lane.
Okay, mate. Conserve as much as you can from now on. Just massively conserving, dude. Thank you.
That interests me, because I would have brought him in then. So they've chosen to bring Holdsworth in.
Well, they're going for staying out.
Track position.
At the moment.
Mark Dutton said to Jamie Whincup, massively conserve your fuel.
Get ready. Go.
Track position for now is what they get, and they're hoping to roll the dice to live to fight another day, but it backs them into a bit of a corner. It closes off a few options, but this will be really interesting. It's been interesting all weekend.
And they've queued these cars for the same reason. It interests me because it would have offset those if they were on the cusp of getting through or not. Jason Bright battling to get out into the fast lane. Dean Fiore in there. Jonathan Webb, yesterday's winner. You see Steve Johnson just come past. Shane Van Gisbergen out. Most of the field in pit lane.
Do you remember how not too long ago I said that it's interesting how Whincup and Courtney have been tagging along each other, finding each other like magnets over the last few races? Well, now they're going to edge closer. So let's run you through the highlights so far. It was an ordinary start by Courtney from 12th position. He was lucky not to get all tangled up with Stephen Richards behind him. That was good driving by Stephen Richards and a great start from Lee Holdsworth from pole position, really put the hammer down. So Courtney was getting all boxed up and Craig Lowndes was getting all loose through the chicane and took some tyre bundles with him. Andrew Thompson, Andrew Jones and Craig Lowndes, 3 wide, and they all came together. This was the critical moment for Courtney. The right rear tyre. They went to put the new one on. They took the old one off, but the new one wouldn't stick on, so they had to put the old one back on again. That cost him dearly. He got shuffled all the way down the list. Lee Holdsworth came in and collected a tyre from the Bundaberg Red Racing crew on the way through. And then under another safety car, James Courtney came in, and this time they got the job done quickly. And quickly was exactly how Jason Bright got down to turn 1. Big lock-up. Flicked it back onto the circuit proper. It's a beautiful Sunday afternoon here in Sydney. And under safety car conditions, we will take a break. Whincup versus Courtney. This battle continues. Dealt with the tyre problem down there at the chicane by just removing it altogether, pushing it up towards the 4X Gold sign.
Yeah, right now is not the time to aim for that as an apex point. Yeah, exactly. Something that's important to be able to get out here is the fact that if it takes a while to resolve all that, and I don't think it is based on the fact that they've been pushed back, this plays against what Vodafone were hoping for. They were banking on the fact that this was going to be an extended period to fix the tyre bundle. They've asked Jamie to go into massive fuel conservation mode because they need to get to lap 49 at a minimum. Well, they're just not there at the moment. So real high stakes gamble for them, but I reckon that they'll be a bit shocked that the whole tyre thing's been resolved as quick as it has, and the resolution was to push them off the track rather than repair.
And that's not
breaking and accelerating. You're doing a great job and everything's looking good.
Yeah, exactly. All that throttle stuff, they'll be blowing about in the garage. He said, keep swerving, but don't do the throttle.
So if you're sitting at home thinking, well, Jamie Whincup is now in the lead of the race, what happens if he wins? Well, the way it's panned out right now, it doesn't matter because James Courtney still has a 59-point buffer. Whincup's leading the race. Courtney's in 7th spot.
And that's why they played percentage at Vodafone, because it's worth just trying to do something a bit different to break that nexus. Otherwise, you're stuck.
And if Jamie does go on to win the race, if Jamie Whincup does go on to win the race, James Courtney still has quite a few positions to play with to keep that title his. In fact, he can still finish 23rd if Jamie wins the race. And Courtney will wind up with the title.
The stuff you've got to factor in, though, is all the sporting stuff, like when Mark held his breath before when Whincup nearly hit the fence and Courtney nearly got tangled up in other people's accidents. That's the stuff that makes sport the random and interesting thing that it is.
So Whincup heads out now in control of the field. Winterbottom, then Stephen Richards. Caruso, Lowndes, Dumbrell and Courtney. Warren Luff loses his way down to turn 1 but gets it back without too much hassle.
Oh, big moment then, big slide. Locked rear brakes for Whincup.
And running very light now on the smell. So the back of the car very light. Might have a little bit too much rear brake on it on those circumstances, because remember that in vague terms about 3/4 of a kilo for every litre of fuel. So it's lightened off its load, so sometimes you just got to sneak the brake bias.
Same there, Neil. Was very deep in there.
Oh, look at the amount of curb that Winterbottom took there. And
Dumbrell got him.
But both cars from the same stable. So
Oh, somebody's gone around the outside, and it was one of the top cars. So Will.
That's interesting that both here.
That was, again, he battled to stop, Croppo.
Here comes Will again on the inside. Sorry, Lee Holdsworth on the inside of Andrew Jones.
So it tells us that the tyres have possibly cooled out a bit for Whincup as well. There it is again. Oh, massive moment going into the right-hander there. It's very unstable in the rear of Whincup's car. He's going berserk trying to make margin.
Well, Winterbottom's going with him.
One more lap, mate. One more lap.
So just the one more lap
This is going to kill him.
for Jamie Whincup.
With a condensed field and then a pit stop, which is going to take 40, he says, scrambling for the bits of paper, 48 seconds to come in, and well, he probably won't do 4 tyres, he'll do 2, so it'll be 42 seconds. That's going to put him literally at the bottom of the queue. I think they fully expected that tyre repair to go longer.
And they needed it.
Michael Caruso
Let's take all 4
using all of that extra track space now that the tyres have been moved.
So we're on lap 48 out of 74. Great part of the track, turn 5. And the chicanes at 6 into 7. So Team Vodafone now activating the pit stop for Jamie Whincup. It's Campbell Little at Ford Performance Racing. So they're going 4 tyres. 4 tyres and fuel, so it will be a long one. It'll be 48 seconds in the pit lane for Jamie Whincup. Had the chance to do it under safety car. Lee Holdsworth did it, the leader of the race. They gambled on the safety car period lasting longer, and the gamble didn't work.
Now they'll be hoping, of course, but they'll be hoping that this is still the last field to the end of the race. That something else happens, if they're right on the margin of fuel, that Jamie can short shift and save, that something happens on the racetrack and maybe there's a safety car. Does put them back in the game a bit. Track position could come back to them.
4 tyres.
This Singer replay got, oh, that was Caruso bunny hopping his way through the chicane. So this is not a team mistake, this is a team gamble. And they have to gamble today.
Brad Jones is bringing in Jason Bright on lap 49 for clear air.
Rears are done, Paul. Nothing in pit lane yet, J-Dub. Fronts are done, all good on tyres, waiting on fuel. Good to go once we drop you. Nothing in pit lane. See you.
One advantage of this is he goes back out and totally clear
Cold
air.
tyres, mate. 4 cold tyres. 4 cold tyres. They're our best set, mate. We're going to make it to the end. You're going to go well. Keep that pump where it is, mate. 4 cold tyres. Be mindful for that.
Okay, well, they're saying, I mean, plain English, we're going to make it to the end. So that's going to be really fascinating to watch.
And Mark Dutton made the point, our best bet is your 4 new tyres. 4 tyres are on there, so he's got grip. This is going to be fun to watch Jamie Whincup try and pick his way through the field.
But he did say keep the pump where it is, Mark Dutton, so that means they're in fuel conservation mode.
So Mark Winterbottom is now the race leader. He will have to come in though, and so too will Stephen Richards, who's second. So Richards has.
Okay, mate. Window is open. Safety car window open. Confirmed.
Jason Bright's also in the lane. Garth Tander's in the lane as well.
Blue flags for car 11. So it's Jason Bargwana being asked to just hop out of the way. So there'll be a flurry of activity now as they all get into this last window to get fuel on to get them home. We heard the communication there to Courtney. Holdsworth has gone straight through the chicane on this lap. James is in behind Paul Dumbrell at the moment at turn 5. So track position will come rushing back to Jamie in this cycle, in this sequence, as they all peel off. It's going to be really interesting to see how it all pans out, though.
A lot of damage to the front of the Bottle-O Falcon. How's the amount of curb that Dumbrell's using at turn 8? Stands on 2 wheels off that curb. That curb profile is quite aggressive. This is Tander. And contact.
Unsafe release.
With the front of Jason Bright's car. I'd say that will be penalty time there.
Winterbottom in this lap. His fuel numbers on our computers show that he'll be good to get to the end. There he is in the foreground.
So Caruso is now leader on the road. Craig Lowndes is tucked in behind him.
On track, please.
Yeah, mate, we copy that.
And with all this pit lane shuffling going on,
Ready, it's going to be clear, it's going to be clear. Leave it, mate. Go, all clear.
every car that comes in to pit lane and heads back out again means that James Courtney and co edge further and further towards the top of the list.
So this is the last bit of complexity, I think, in the storytelling here, as the last stops are all cycled through. We're holding our breath to see whether Whincup can make it to the end. The team suggests he can.
Van Gisbergen up the inside of Andrew Jones, but can't make the corner. Does the flick slide, turns it around, and rejoins at the bottom of Australia Avenue. That's turn 1. As you can see here, got the rear wheels locked late in the stop, and then just decides to get off the brake and run it down the escape road to avoid spinning.
He didn't even bother pointing it towards the turn. He knew early on that he was going to go straight ahead there, so clever thinking by the 21-year-old as Andrew Jones passes through. Behind him, Michael Caruso and Lowndes and Dumbrell in. So guess what, folks? Guess who's going to be the race leader? James Courtney.
Unbelievable.
He's gone to the top of the list. It says third on your race tracker there, but he's already gone to the top of the list because 2 cars ahead of him are in pit lane.
Give that rear roll center a bit of a tweak.
This is a pressure stop. Only rear tyres for Lowndes, 4 tyres for Caruso. They'll be trying to jump the Fujitsu car.
Car's coming, getting closer.
Look at the fuel. They're both out. And Lowndes gets away. He was caught, Caruso was caught by car 15.
That was the classic go, 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 wait, wait, wait call.
Yeah.
Which one do you want? Oh, Whincup and Lowndes. I reckon they've come together. They have. A little nudge down there at turn 1.
So Craig couldn't see him. Jamie was going to do the crisscross and come back the other side and end up having a little bump between turn 1 and turn 2.
Fabian Coulthard want to get out of this in a hurry.
Exactly.
Although it's probably good right now to have somebody in between 888 and car 1.
Pitting Courtney this lap.
So that was an ugly moment then for Whincup.
Massively ugly moment, wasn't it? 2 team cars rubbing guards at turn 1.
James Courtney's in.
And this is the scene. You watch Whincup trying to come back the other side. Lowndes slides and then the cars make contact.
And I don't think he'd be aware that it was Jamie. He probably thought it was the Bundy car.
Okay, here we go.
Clear, mate. When it drops, clear as, no one here.
So, the last pit stop of 2010 for the series leader.
Okay, you're racing. There's heaps of guys coming down for track position. So everyone now is for track position.
There is a stack of cars coming down the front straight. Watch this. James Courtney's going to arrive on the scene to find nowhere to go.
Cover your line, there's heaps of cars. Cover your line.
So out he comes. That's Lowndes. These are the critical moments. Look who he pulls up alongside, Courtney and Whincup.
That's amazing, isn't it? I was really keen to see what was going to happen there. And unbelievable. Holding hands again, as it's been through so many phases of the championship, together on the track. Oop. James drops a critical spot there to Rick Kelly on cold tyres.
Send the V8 rider off to Hollywood, I reckon. Just worked out a treat. So Greg Murphy is now in control of the race. But the effective leader is Lee Holdsworth. So Holdsworth is the man that we'll be looking for once all the other stops have been cleansed.
He came in on lap 50. He's had very good speed. And his car has been very nice all day. So this is on board with Whincup, and then bang into the back corner of Craig Lowndes. The two Vodafone cars make contact, and that's Mark Dutton looking. How's the amount of pressure in this series? Roland Dane. Craig didn't know where he was for sure.
Craig didn't know where Craig was, or Jamie was?
He didn't know where Jamie was, Matthew.
Jeremy Moore on one side of Roland Dane and Mark Dutton on the other side, the respective engineers of Lowndes and Whincup. And another unfortunate sight for Jason Bright.
Brakes are dragging by the smell of smoke, I don't know. Might be the brakes dragging. Are the brakes dragging?
Jason Bright scores.
Second yesterday.
Saying brakes dragging, meaning that the brake pads are in constant contact with some brake pressure on the brake rotor and the fumes that were coming out of the car. Jason was basically saying that smell, the brake fumes, were leading him to believe that the brakes were dragging. Guys are having a look at that now. This is on board with Caruso. Right behind James Courtney. And there's Lowndes down the inside of Todd Kelly. Turn 9, nice pass. Now, I don't know what happened with Whincup, because these two cars were right together. And Whincup's lost 4 or 5 spots back.
Yeah, he has lost a huge amount of ground
to Lowndes, and they come out together when they made the contact. So I'm not sure what's happened to Jamie there to lose that track position, but he's in an angry group there now.
One of the big winners out of the strategy game has been Garth Tander. He started from 8th position. He's currently in 8th, but he's behind Lee Holdsworth. Let's take a look at a move there from Tony D'Alberto. So effectively, Garth Tander is in 2nd position. Effectively. Once the pit stops are cleansed, you'll find that Lee Holdsworth should be leading the race, and Tander will be tucked in behind him, but it's going to be tight for Tander to get to the finish. He came in on lap 49. So that's a good play from this whole Holden Racing team. And this has got a bit of drama written on it, so let's stick with this battle. Todd Kelly's there. There's Tim Slade. Whincup is searching for room.
Duncan on the outside.
And Todd's got a bent steering arm on that Jack Daniels car. That's what's holding his progress at the moment. So Whincup easily gets him at turn 8. Battling away in the middle of traffic congestion hasn't been happy days sometimes for Jamie. Look at the season.
Rick Kelly's waiting as well, so Todd's a bit of a passenger at the moment.
They all did very well to get all through there with 2 abreast. Very tight section of track. And over the rise at the Novotel there was cars all over the road, and as I said, they did a really good job to get through that very tight section without making contact.
Great driving, mate. Great driving. Just keep doing what you're doing.
So Todd just purposely there holding that little gaggle up so that Rick could get by without having too much drama with Fabian Coulthard. So
Stephen Johnson's...
Oh, he's a fence. He must have gone very close to actually burying it in the tyre wall then.
I think he's got brake drama.
He does have a bent steering arm. The team have advised me of that, but it looks worse than that, doesn't it? No, here he is. He's rolling along still.
Yeah. Looked like he was going to hit those tyres, didn't he?
They are bringing him in this lap. Winterbottom, meantime, who's 10th at the moment, very fast to the second sector. That's just really weird there, isn't it?
Just hasn't turned.
No.
Sometimes when the steering is bent like that, they turn one way really well and won't turn back the other way, and that's what's happened. It's turned left fine, and then he can't get it turned right. Look, even the right and front wheel's got hardly any lock on it. So he's gone to turn right, it's gone straight ahead, and they'll have to come in and fix that car before they do finally fire it in the tyres or in the fence.
We saw Jason Bright in the garage there. Winterbottom did post the fastest lap time. It's now been beaten again by Craig Lowndes on the same lap. So the new lap record is 129.39, belonging to car 888 Lowndes.
Couple of quick updates. HRT, Will Davidson, if you wonder where he's been, he's got an engine drama, dropped a cylinder. Behind me here, Jason Bright. He's now dropped oil pressure, so they're going to have a look at that. But what I do want to do is show you this tyre. This was from earlier off Bridie's car. We talked about that brake modulation over there, turn 8. Have a look into turn 9, sorry. Now you can look at that right through to the steel belt. So where that happens, remember the tyre's got camber on it. That's why it's on the inside. So when you go down into the bump, that's good. The tyre compresses down. As you come up, the car gets light and over a little more camber on it like that, and there you are. And that's impossible to try and drive on that.
Yeah, well done, Larko. That tyre we saw, massive lock-up at turn 9 and then again at turn 1. And when it does that, we made the comment at the time that it's like a 50-cent piece. They find the flat and it locked it, and it's significant damage to that tyre. That would have, number one, it's dangerous. Number two, will slow him down.
Now Tander's got to do a tour through the pit lane here for the unsafe pit release that we saw earlier. And took a while for that to come through. Yep. Lowndes, incidentally, has gone straight through the chicane just after he's done that fastest lap of a 129.3. That's very quick in the race. Oh, Courtney into the back of Caruso.
Yep.
And did Dumbrell put a move on him then while all that was going on?
I think so. Look at this, bang.
Doesn't need too much of that.
So you don't need that. You do that, you damage the radiator, you don't finish the race.
And these are the perils of being a bit buried. Look at the front of that car now. The Jim Beam car, the snout is significantly bent. And race control now. Oh, here we go. Tim Slade in the wall. And race control has asked V8 Supercar officials to look at the front of the Courtney car for damage.
Well, this is really big damage here to car 47 of Tim Slade.
Safety car. This will resolve the problem for Whincup. Any marginal problem for him with fuel will be resolved by this.
And that was an angry group. We spoke about it before. There was always some action going to happen out of that group.
An angry group of 29.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and you're right, Scott, but angry group, mate. Now, I don't reckon this is great for Courtney because you don't want another safety car. Just put your whack in the middle of that angry group again. Not good.
Yeah, that's right, Larko. So often say safety cars breed safety cars, don't they?
And the fuel saving that everybody gets from this will resolve any issues. So going back to the concern and having to run Jamie's car as lean as possible. Oh, here we go. So Russell and Tim, that's the reason why that all ended up happening down there. And that's turn 1, no room down there.
I reckon there could be a little bit more said about that one.
There's the damage on the front of car 18. So, as you mentioned, Neil, they're going to take a look at this.
Well, they just want to look at the loose bodywork in case there's anything that needs to be managed.
It doesn't appear as though anything's flapping around on the front there, but they'll have a good look. Just another bit of drama to add to the picture, this championship picture.
Thank you, Tim. I'm happy with car 18 at this stage.
Thank you.
taken Lara Mingle's role as the ambassador for Speeder, the former Miss Universe Australia Chocolate Championship.
Okay, just an update, safety car. We are moving car that is opposite turn 1. It's going to pull back into an opening there. You'll see it ahead of you. Just another update, safety. That car's actually driving off now. That car's driving off ahead of you. Safety car, just maintain 60, or just monitoring car 47.
Damien.
Frank 47 in pit lane, damage front.
This weekend has had it all, especially weather-wise. couldn't be any different to what we had yesterday. Today's a beautiful afternoon here at Sydney Olympic Park, just west of Sydney Central. And the championship picture looks like this. 86 points now, so it's edging closer and closer towards James Courtney winning his first V8 Supercar Australian Touring Car Championship title. What an afternoon that'll be for Courtney. But this day isn't done yet, and this track will ensure that there'll be a few more dramas.
And you've got to feel a little bit nervous, Nelly, about where both the contenders are in the field at the moment. You know, safety car, restart, congestion, aggravation. Courtney 18th, Whincup 10th.
So as the safety car gets ready to leave the scene, I'll run you through how they're situated at the moment. Shane van Gisbergen is the first car in the queue. Jonathan Webb, the winner of yesterday's race, is behind him. But it's going to be touch and go for those two guys to get to the end of this race on fuel. It's going to be really close. Lee Holdsworth is third. He'll be comfortable. Stephen Richards is fourth. It's going to be touch and go for him. Mark Winterbottom will be comfortable. Greg Murphy, sixth. He can make it to the end. And Stephen Johnson, Craig Lowndes, D'Alberto and Whincup make up our top 10. So Jamie Whincup's in 10th. James Courtney's in 18th.
And they're all fueled and good to go to the end, and they've been reassured by their teams. The question marks are over Van Gisbergen and Webb at the moment. They'll only get to around about lap 68, depending on how much conservation mode they're in at the moment. But interestingly, Paul Forgy has told Shane van Gisbergen, you better save fuel, mate, because I'm not going to put any more in it. So he's got to try and find a way of making 6 laps out of nothing.
Which means it's all or nothing. That's the Shane van Gisbergen way, and he's played this restart to perfection. He's really pulled away from Jonathan Webb down the front straight. So we'll be keeping an eye on two guys in particular, Whincup and Courtney, because this is it. This is where it all goes down. The championship picture.
There was contact then between Lowndes, I think it was, and the other Jim Beam car.
Stephen Johnson.
Johnson, sure. Turn 1.
Great move, Lee Holdsworth. Really good restart. Straight down the inside of Jonathan Webb. And a big slide there. Rear wheel slot for Johnson.
Car 39, black flag, pit lane drive-through penalty for the incident at turn 1 with Tim Slade. So remember, Russell wasn't that thrilled about the last opportunity to wave to the crowd in the pit lane. He'll be less than thrilled for his second tour.
Jonathan Webb's getting massively boxed in here by an FPR sandwich, and Stephen Richards in front of him, and Mark Winterbottom, who's been flying all day, now gets around him. Murphy's going to go too.
Oh, little bump on the way out of turn 8. See the damage on Murph's car. He'll get down the inside at 9 probably. Yep, great move. Well done.
And this is shaping up as a good race result for Greg Murphy if it stays clean. Lowndes wants to have a look as well, but Webb fights back. Good move from the youngster.
Shane van Gisbergen, the fuel situation. I said to Ross Stone, you're going to need to stop him. He said, we're that close now. We're not stopping.
Yeah. Well, they're just going to take the risk, and it may well be a very good strategy because, as I said earlier in the broadcast, that chances are that you will get something else traumatic between now and the checkered flag. They've only got to save a little bit and they'll be okay, but line ball.
They're not stopping. The car, however, may have different ideas. So Lowndes this time on Webb.
Good pass.
Plenty of space there. Stephen Johnson wants to go too.
And just remembering, boys, the most efficient, the fuel-efficient cars in the pit lane probably are those Stone Brothers cars. Not talking like 6 litres to the 100, but, you know, still pretty good.
Yeah, it might be a pretty big task, Larko, without another safety car. Big slide there for Lowndes coming out of turn 4. He'll be wanting to press on now. And this pass at the restart. Very important move to get on with the job straight away. And that's Lowndes down the inside and contact with Steve Johnson at the middle of turn 1. Here it is. Little bang. And that could have been very similar to the Slade Engel incident.
And in the game of what if, in the championship game of what ifs, there's a lot of nerves in our respective garages, championship garages. There's a lot at stake here in these, well, everything at stake, obviously, for Jamie Whincup. But what he has to do, right now he's in 8th position. Track position now is absolutely critical for him, because if he gets up into 4th spot, then if James Courtney has a DNF, that's the only way that Whincup can win the title. So it's all about Whincup on his side of the fence, making sure that he keeps picking off people and getting up inside the top 4. For Courtney, it's getting to the end of the race. It's really that simple. So off you go, guys, make that happen. Lap 64 is 74.
So Holdsworth gaining ground on Van Gisbergen. Car stops very well all weekend. Holdsworth car in the braking areas has looked really nice. It flows nice and it looks very stable in the braking area.
In the world of mind management, Courtney's being told just relax, bring it home. Jamie Whincup's being told to push.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is the summary version of Matt's mathematical explanation, because that's what's got to happen. For Jamie to be in the game here, he's got to produce the very, very best possible result. James has just got to not rip the wheels off it.
Shane Van Gisbergen, as we know, is going to be wringing this car dry to get it to the finish line. He's had 8 podiums in 2010, but yet to have a race win. Lowndes on the inside of Murphy. So Lowndes and Whincup here could perform a little team Vodafone double act there, close enough to go together. There's now a couple of cars in between Lowndes and his teammate. And one of them is straight out of the DJR stable in Stephen Johnson. So more mind games, more subplots. Last 10 laps of the race. The final 32 kilometres. 34 kilometres of this season. They've raced almost 6,000 Ks this year, and was that Jonathan Webb arriving on cue?
Yeah, that was a big slide. Turn 5, that's where all the guys crashed yesterday. This is James Courtney up the inside, down into turn 2. That puts him into 17th spot. That's Andrew Jones in behind.
Whose cool suit has failed. Oh, terrific.
So what's around Courtney? Jones is behind him. Looks as though he's got a little bit of space in front of him. But in the blink of an eye around this circuit, it can evaporate.
Actually, the way the bonnet's folded up there, he'd be battling to sight a lot of the corners the way he would want to. Anything in relation to a right-hander like, you know, turn 10 and then through the 6 and 7 in that chicane would be quite difficult. Same at 3.
See those 8 podiums in the 105 races on the championship scoreboard for Shane Van Gisbergen. All of them have come this year. Yet to get a race win. Couldn't have been any closer in his battle with Jamie Whincup.
9 laps to go.
On the streets of Surfers Paradise. Is this the day that the young Kiwi delivers? What about Lee Holdsworth?
He was brilliant on the streets of the Gold Coast. That drive up there was outstanding, and yeah, he was every bit. Oh, well, there goes Winterbottom down at turn 1, out of position 4. That's very costly.
And it went off fast, didn't it? It was a long way down the escape road. When we spotted it, there must be oil down there, because Murphy's gone down there, Coulthard down there.
Courtney will arrive on the scene soon as well. Warren Luff goes down there. So our championship leader has made it through okay.
Something's failed on that car.
Did you get a go, mate?
Winterbottom's ready to bail out of car 5, so that is really tricky. There'll be oil down there. They'll all arrive in the same spot soon.
See, that's the trail of oil.
You can see it shining.
Underneath and shining. So he's had an engine drama.
And there's a pool beneath it. If you look carefully, you can see a pool beneath it. So it's hemorrhaged badly.
The order's shuffled down, and while I'm on championship watch, I may as well continue it. That puts Jamie Whincup in 5th spot. So if something disastrous happens to James Courtney, Whincup is so close. So here it goes. It's gone. He's on the far right-hand side of the track.
Look at them all. Look at them all. Look at this for a save. That's Lowndes into the tyres. That's Murphy off the road. It was so slippery. That's Lowndes rotating.
Grabs a gear and away he goes.
Oh, and
that was Johnson.
That was Johnson who pulled out on.
And again, these are the unforeseens that it's just impossible to plan for.
All the drivers being warned now about the oil out wide in the run down to turn 1. So have a look at this. This is Lowndes.
So they'll all drive a bit shallow down there now. Lowndes is very lucky there that he went into the tyre bundle sideways. He grabbed gear and off he went and started racing with Stephen Johnson again.
But Whincup has been the benefactor because he's jumped a couple of spots as a consequence of that. And have a look at the oil and water. Look like a big engine failure for FPR in car 5.
So what about this race out in front? The 21-year-old Kiwi in Van Gisbergen, rapidly running out of fuel.
They just said to Jamie Whincup, you're P5, you need to be P4 in case Courtney bins it, was the way it was described.
That's what we've been saying. It's been helped along by Mark Winterbottom, leaving the circuit and finishing up on the race. Another zinger replay. So this is Whincup trying to muscle through James Courtney's teammate. How about that? Well, Stephen Johnson doesn't want to go anywhere. He'll hold him up as long as he can. He'll cop any penalty because it'll be beneficial to James Courtney. A championship is on the line. A race win is on the line for the first time for Shane Van Gisbergen. Everything's at play. If Whincup gets past Stephen Johnson and James Courtney for some reason doesn't make it to the end of the race, Whincup wins the championship.
And Jamie had to be super careful then.
No, mate, copy that. Just press up to him hard.
So Mark Dutton saying press up to him hard, meaning put plenty of pressure on him. This is James Courtney's teammate holding Whincup back from getting into a position that he could win the series if Courtney stops.
Stevie Johnson has all the experience. He's been around since 1994. All the dramas that his dad's team has been through in 2010 could well ride on whether or not he can hold back Jamie Whincup.
But it only matters if James doesn't finish. And at the moment, he's 13th. But what it does, it has one of the cards drop into place for Team Vodafone. How's your fuel consumption going, Ross and Jimmy? Peter Wallace on the right from the engine department.
They look stressed, don't they?
And they look totally relaxed about it. Ross is all...
Play poker with them, wouldn't you?
Have a good feel of it.
Ross looks like he's about to explode.
Lee Holdsworth just looks as though he's got patience on his side. I reckon he's so confident that he can get Van Gisbergen later on. And that calculator there has just got smoke coming out of it.
Now, Ross, I can see the calculator's been flat out. You've almost emptied the batteries on that. How's the calculations on fuel looking for Shane?
Oh, if everything works how it should and our information's correct, we should have about 1.5 litres left at the end. So it's pretty tight.
Perfect timing, Ross.
Yeah. Well, we can only do our best, but we're not going to stop. We'll just keep running them.
All right, well done, mate. Good luck.
Okay.
And it's a good call because the young bloke may deliver his first win in a V8 Supercar, and why not have a crack at it? So if he can short shift a bit, if he can just fend off here, and if you get it wrong, well, at least you had a crack.
This is close.
Lee Holdsworth has just been waiting and waiting. He's done nothing to suggest that he wants to have a look over the last couple of laps, but this time around, he's positioning his car close enough to do the switcheroo on Shane Van Gisbergen.
Don't forget Stephen Richards in this. He's been a little bit overlooked in the battle today. There he is, his last run as a full-timer at Ford Performance Racing. There he is in the Dunlop Super Dealer entry. He's shadowing these guys. He's only 1.4 seconds off the lead, so really it's a three-way battle at the moment.
Mate, eyes forward, concentrate every corner, make every corner count. You've got 5 laps, let's get the job done.
It's Paul Forgy encouraging his man Shane Van Gisbergen.
And concentration will be the key, no question about this. Holdsworth, pole yesterday, pole today.
And Richo's really pressing on here. You can see that he's hustling that number 6 car. He last stopped on lap 49, but he'll be okay. Holdsworth shows the nose. 5 to go is the message being given to all the drivers.
Shane Van Gisbergen never won a race. Lee Holdsworth won 1 race in his career 3 years ago. Stephen Richards in his last drive for Ford Performance Racing. He hasn't won a race also since 2007. So these top 3 are taking it all the way to the last lap. the championship is going to go that way as well. And at the moment, our champion in waiting, James Courtney, is in 13th spot.
Jonathan Webb is on target for a top 10 result following on from yesterday's performance. That's a very good weekend for him. I think that he should walk out of the grounds this weekend very proud with all those achievements.
Great way to finish your first year, which has been a good year anyway, just capped off with a stellar weekend.
Repco again's getting closer, boys, so just keep an eye on him. Obviously the body language from Lee Holdsworth car is that he's got plenty of pace, but Repco is closing. So how do you... And here is the problem for Shane Van Gisbergen. All the encouragement in the world, you know, driving flat out is not a problem, but you burn fuel doing it. So you've got to go fast but not use the Supergen bioethanol that powers these cars.
So Van Gisbergen under intense pressure from Lee Holdsworth for the lead of this race. Right behind them is Steve Richards. Steve Johnson then in the Jim Beam car. In front of Jamie Whincup from Craig Lowndes, Rick Kelly, Michael Caruso, Garth Tander and Jonathan Webb is your top 10. There's a section of the road in terms of the way they achieve their speed. Holdsworth's very strong in the last sector. In the middle sector of the track, Van Gisbergen's got a little break on Holdsworth.
Okay, if you just check this out, here's Gary Rogers, team owner. Look, at the back, look. There he is, cannot watch. He's been there for 10 minutes.
Come on, Gaz.
Someone sneak a monitor around in front of him. He's missing all the action. Other thing that's worth noting here is that Steve Johnson has been punching out terrific speed in position 4. He's just done 2 laps in a row in the high 29s. He's the fastest car of the top half dozen cars at the moment. So he's responding to the pressure being applied by the Team Vodafone boys.
Dick Johnson was back in 1995 when John Bowe won the championship for DJR. Can this man deliver it? He's on course to do it. "30 years of age, born and raised at Penrith, not far from where we are right now. Now lives on the Gold Coast. 68 points is the difference. Courtney just needs to bring it home and finish this race to be the 2010 V8 Supercar Champion. Van Gisbergen needs to hold off this challenge and this charge from Lee Holdsworth. Not to mention his evaporating fuel tank to claim his first race win.
And James's dad, Jim, is here this weekend. He lives and works nearby. James typically shoos him away from the race meetings because he reckons he's bad luck. Just a bit rough. It is. But he'll be one person in the crowd at the moment, biting his nails and looking forward to the potential of a V8 Supercar Championship on James's extensive CV.
Have a look at this. Look at the pressure that Holdsworth has got on Van Gisbergen. There is nothing in it. And he's got the lights on. He shows the nose of the car. Every time you look in the mirror, you've got the Valvoline Fujitsu car haunting him.
Well, this back end of 2010 in this championship has just been enthralling, captivating racing.
Shane's driving beautifully, isn't he? He's using all that exit space. He's trying to keep the flow of the car up as best he can. 30.2 the last lap. Lee Holdsworth 30.0. Richards 30.0, Johnson 30.1, Whincup 30.1, Lowndes 30.6. And the Richards charge has just eased a bit in the last couple of laps.
It has.
I think these guys have actually picked the intensity up.
Oh, it's going to be a double whammy day for Ford the way they're going.
New Zealanders, they're into it, aren't they?
Shane Van Gisbergen on track to deliver.
Lowndes has gone straight through the chicane in position 6 behind his teammate Whincup in front of Rick Kelly. Jonathan Webb's also done it. So a few people straight lining chicanes late in the day.
In the really high risk areas. There's Richard Holway looking on. Lee Holdsworth's engineer. And then the Stone brothers. On the bottom of screen, watching their 2 young blokes absolutely putting every effort into winning this motor race. 2 laps to go.
Well, if they get this car number 9 home that it's a fine effort, a great effort, because he last stopped on lap 44. When you consider what fuel...
Okay, mate, this is the last one. Bring it home. Come on.
Oh, dear. 3.4 kilometres for Shane van Gisbergen. And tantalisingly close to his first V8 Supercar victory.
Nothing left in the tank in his car, but everything left in the tank in the driver. The poker boys, Ross and Jimmy Stone, continue to hold him. They're not going to fold him. Lee Holdsworth just cannot get around Shane van Gisbergen.
So just to emphasise, Mark Larkin made the point earlier about the good fuel consumption figures, locked the rear brake into turn 2. And then obviously good conservation during the safety car phase and phases of the race. Now half a lap to go for the young Kiwi.
You have to go back 2 years to find Stone Brothers Racing's last victory at Queensland Raceway. James Courtney was behind the wheel on that day. The crowd here are going berserk. 166,000 people have witnessed the Sydney Telstra 500 this weekend. Holdsworth is going to have a crack at there. Shane van Gisbergen runs out of gas, and Holdsworth will snatch victory. Down at turn 9, Stephen Richards will go around. They played their card, they gambled, and it didn't make the distance. Just what you need. Of course it was going to finish this way. More drama. Lee Holdsworth claims his first race win in 3 years.
Great job, buddy. Well done, mate. Awesome. Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Well done.
Well, it's a great moment here. Adrian Burgess, the team boss, just embracing Dick Johnson. And a great moment for Dick. Dick, boy, that deserves some celebration after a tough year.
Oh, my God, I don't think I could drink that much Jim Beam, actually. But at the end of the day, you know what? Just goes to show you what a great team they are.
Absolutely. Now, Dick, it's been a little while waiting since '95. You're now the most successful team in V8 Supercar history. And it's just been a tough ride this year.
It certainly has, like 7 championships, boy, you know. It's just a great feeling to think that, you know, but if you hang around long enough, certainly things are going to happen one way or another, aren't they?
He did a brilliant job, Jamie, and James, I should say, and the whole team did.
Well, mate, Jamie was a bit unfortunate, a few things, and so were we. But at the end of the day, we came out on top, and I'm just so pleased for all the boys. Great team effort, and not only the guys that just work on the car, but every single person in the team.
Congratulations, Dick. Enjoy it.
Thanks, Mark.
Hey guys, he's just jumped down off the bonnet. Hang on, I'll see if I can dive in here. Lee Holsworth, mate, great drive, fantastic. What a great way to finish the year, mate.
Absolutely, I couldn't think of a better way to end the year, a pole and a win, and that was just an awesome race. I just enjoyed every minute of it, and we controlled it the whole way, dominated, and don't know what happened to Van Gis at the end, but I was pretty happy about it.
Mate, it's funny, we were watching Gary Rogers, your boss there at the end. He couldn't watch, mate. You're a fit young bloke, and hear you, Penny. You're obviously giving it 110%. There was nothing left.
There was absolutely nothing left. You know, I was pushing so hard to get Van Gis. I thought we deserved to win more than he did, so I just wanted to get past him, and I was just pressuring him, and he had pretty good pace, but yeah, whatever went wrong at the end. Unfortunate for him, but brilliant for us.
Well done, mate. Congratulations.
Thank you.
What a season it's been for this man, James Courtney, and what a finish. The kind of finish that he's been dreaming about since he returned from racing over in Europe to come back and attack the V8 Supercar Championship. He made his debut back in 2005 in the Enduros, was with Stone Brothers Racing in 2006, got his first win in 2008, came to DJR last year, and on this day, is dancing on top of car 18 to celebrate his first ever V8 Supercar title with Adrian Burgess and Dick Johnson. So in the end of all of that, it was 65 points the difference in the championship race between Courtney and Whincup. Quite just an enthralling finish. 326 points the difference for Mark Winterbottom, who finishes third for the season. So time for the podium. There's a big crowd there.
It has been an amazing finish to this V8 Supercar Series. 166,723 fans have come to Sydney Olympic Park to see this Sydney Telstra 500, and what a climax of the season it has been. To make the presentations, would you please welcome our special guest, Christina Keneally.
Thank you. What a great event this has been. The Keneally government's proud to host the Telstra V8 500 next year, back better than ever. Thanks everyone for coming out for a great, great afternoon.
Thanks, Christina, and thanks to the New South Wales government for their magnificent support as well. Let's get the presentations rolling now, and in third place, boy, was this a spirited run to the line or what? For SP Tools Racing, Shane van Gisbergen. Shane, welcome to the podium, boy. You rolled the dice, you gave it everything, and it just came up a little short today.
Yeah, we really had to there. We ended up better than we would have been, but yeah, it's heartbreaking for the guys. I felt it skip coming onto the front straight on the last lap and just tried to save fuel, but I can't believe that we made it to the end. But thanks to the boys, great job, and bring on next year.
We look forward to it, Shane. Thanks very much. Congratulations. We look forward to next year as well. In second place for Ford Performance Racing, Stephen Richards. Steve, great to see you back on the podium to end the year. Well done.
Yeah, look, that's a fantastic result to finish the last race of the year on the podium. Absolutely terrific. A lot of people to thank, of course. Ford, Dunlop Super Dealers, Orcon Steel, West Track, Lawrence and Hanson, TIAC, FPV, and of course Castrol. Thanks very much, and special thanks for the last 4 years to everyone at FPV.
Good on you, Richo. Well done. Congratulations. The winning team this afternoon, Fujitsu Racing, and to accept the team trophy, Gypsy. Congratulations, well done. And our winning driver today for Fujitsu Racing, boy, did he run a race or what? Lee Holdsworth. Lee, congratulations. You must love coming to this place, boy. It's been a good couple of years here for you.
Yeah, it certainly has. We've deserved a race win for a while, but we finally got it. Perfect day. You couldn't ask for any better. We dominated the whole day, and unfortunate for Van Gizzy. He had a great strategy, but yeah, we got him in the end, and it was fortunate for us. So thanks very much to the Fujitsu, Valvoline, Cummins and Holden team, and thanks to the crowd. You're awesome today, and thanks to my girlfriend Alana and everyone else. Thanks for a great year.
Lee, before you go, you're spot on. It has been a great year for you guys. How highly do you rate this year, this last 12 months, this 11-month season?
I mean, it's obviously my best season. I don't know where I finished in the championship yet, but yet to find out. But the last part of the year has been brilliant. We've had great pace. We had the pace to win Bathurst, but we didn't get there. And you know, we'll be back to push even harder next year. I think next year is going to be a great year.
Good on you, Lee. Congratulations. Christina has a trophy for you. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please congratulate Shane Van Gisbergen, Stephen Richards and Lee Holdsworth, 1, 2 and 3. Race 26 of the year, the Sydney Telstra 500.
So Lee Holdsworth on the top step of the podium. He just asked Barretts, or said to Barretts, he wasn't sure where he finished in the championship. I can tell him 7th in the championship. Back to you, Barretts.
To say a few words. Thanks, Brett.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. And Sydney, you've done it again. Good afternoon, everyone, and a special hello to all of the V8 Supercar fans that are watching the race online on Big Pond TV. What a great day it's been, and it's so thrilling for Telstra to be a part of this fantastic event. The Sydney Telstra 500 has brought so much of an exciting finish to the 2010 V8 Supercar Championship Series. Thank you.
Thanks, Brett, and congratulations and thank you to Telstra, who've been a great partner in this event as well. Time to crown our champion for season 2010. Ladies and gentlemen, what a year it's been for this team and for this man. A courageous finish for Jim Beam Racing. James Courtney is our champion. JC, at the start of the weekend, did you think this day would ever come?
No, look, it's been an amazing year. Everyone at Jim Beam Racing, Dick, all the boys, you know, my crew, I can't thank them enough. They showed yesterday how much they wanted this, and it's just fantastic to be able to repay them today with the championship. So it's, you know, it's an amazing time. I'm getting all emotional. I'd like to thank all the volunteers and fans that come out to every race and this weekend. And it's, you know, it's been an amazing year, Barretts, and I just can't thank my guys enough. It's, you know, everyone at Jim Beam, Geldwin, Ford, all the boys. It's, yeah, it's been crazy, mate. And I feel a bit like a horse with this on.
Bragger. James, you can get as emotional as you like here today, but this season, I mean, they'll write stories about your run this year, the ups and downs of the year, the unknowns, and yet you've managed to come through and win this championship. It's pretty special.
Yeah, look, I owe it to every guy that's on the floor at Jim Beam Racing. They're the guys that won it for us. They're the guys that put in the crazy hours when they had to and didn't hold back. So thanks, guys. This is all for you.